The AI agents we are working with are like junior devs, and it relies on the context of your prompt to execute its task. There are times that you can instruct your AI agent and it perfectly executes that task the way you have instructed it, and most of the times it gives you suggestion on the perfect way to go about it. And there are times that your AI agent can also miss an edge case because it doesn't have the full context, or also it doesn't fully understand your product or how it interacts with the users. And these are the edge cases that most of the time it skips our mind, or we get to experience it later once the product is shipped. Just having this in mind, it's a good practice if you start documenting some of these edge cases that you get to experience. It might be maybe after you have shipped, which is okay because most of the failures you get to experience when users start interacting with your system. So just document them. It might be through writing tests, which covers all the edge cases, or even include them in your skills and rules. This way you'll make your AI model to be context aware, and it will be improving each and every time you interact with it or each and every time you build with it, because it will always have concrete data to even give you good recommendation on the way to go forward before it gets to execute the task. It's just like having prior knowledge within the team, where the junior dev doesn't have to rely on the senior dev each and every time they want to perform a task. With the documentation readily available, they can just go through it and figure things out. Why documentation is very important, more so if you're building with AI agents, is because most of the time you as the person working with AI agents, or you as the person building with AI agents, you are the human intervention in these cases, and most of the time you are the one who gets to experience this kind of bugs or edge cases when user get to interact with your system at first hand. And as much as these sort of things are things that you might miss to foresee at an earlier stage, you are the one who gets to work with certain tools the most, or who gets the experience the most. So if you have, for example, worked with a certain tool for the longest, you get to know what are the things that you can face in between. And this information, if you don't get to document them, you'll get to work on them over and over again. A good example I can give is with the tool GenServer in Elixir, which you can use to leverage on concurrency. So the thing with GenServer processes, they occupy every process that you start with an Elixir system, it gets to occupy space in the memory. So let's say, for example, you're building a checkout system where for each and every user checkout to process the checkout information, GenServer processes are long-living processes, to mean that they will always be alive as long as your system is up and running. So the problem with the approach of using GenServer in the checkout process is that if your system gets to scale and you get more traffic now, every user will start a GenServer process during checkout. When your product is still young and you have less traffic, this is something that you can miss at the beginning, right? But having this awareness, there are decisions that you might need to make prior deciding to use the GenServer. Either it can be after every checkout process you terminate so that you don't deplete your memory space, or even decide another tool which is a better option to use. Some of these edge cases are just not critical when a system is scaling. It can also be a threat to the security of your system. For example, in the scenario that I was given working with GenServer for checkout processes, every process that it started during the checkout process, there's a memory that is being occupied, and this can easily deplete the memory of your system. Hackers having this information, this can be their threat opportunity, and they can easily shut down your system. Having this information documented is very important for your AI model to be context aware. Not only that, you're training it to understand the tools that you're introducing to your system, and also to understand how users interact with your system. With that, you are also allowing it to even give better suggestions according to how your system works. I'm looking forward to hear your opinion on some of the good practice that you are optimizing when it comes to building with AI agents. Bye-bye.